Have fun, man. Of course, man. Thank you.
You're going over there, between the refrigerator and me?
Yes.
You don't have a refrigerator. What happened?
I don't know. Can I have one?
Yes, it's very strange. I feel like I'm in the kids' chair. Sorry. How are you guys?
Really good. I was on a boat trip for the last 3 days, a very small boat. So I'm still like going like.
You think we're having an earthquake?
Yes.
Yes.
A little bit.
Where were you on this boat?
Close to Berlin. So I was just passing by Brad Pitt's and Angelina Jolie's house. You probably know it, right?
Yes,
Huge
yes.
place. But it's super nice there actually. It's like around Berlin, Potsdam, lots of lakes, and you can actually spend there 3 days.
And was this your own personal boat?
No, I don't have a boat. Come on, I don't have a boat. No.
Your company is like $4 billion, isn't it? Don't you have a personal boat?
I'm not a boat guy.
Okay, not a boat guy. And how are you? Where have you been?
I've just came today from London. Beautiful city, had a beautiful day there with some friends, looked at some startups, had a party in the night. Not as long as yours, what I've heard, but also a good party. And
I never party and tell. And you've had so many successful companies now. What are the, your initial, what was the first thing that you did that really got you started and you believed in an idea?
So the first things that I did have not been successful, so and have been lots of learning, like small things, like very short times, very intense. And the first thing that was successful was selling T-shirts online, so customized T-shirts online. And this was just after the bubble burst. So in Germany, almost no one would start a startup. All the consultants and investment bankers, they would not do it. So I've been one of the very early cohorts where there've been only a few people.
And did you see that there was a demand for T-shirts?
Yeah, it was very clear because if we could use the technology with small tweaks.
And what did your T-shirt say?
To offer something, to offer something very unique. Single pieces, dispatched within 24 hours. Today, 24 hours dispatching is nothing special. We've seen Amazon here, right? But like this was, we're talking 2001, guys, yeah? Dispatching stuff customized within 24 hours in 2001. That was quite unique. And then everybody could open his or her own shop with his own content. It was amazing.
And what kind of things were on the T-shirts? You could write anything, or they were just regular T-shirts without writing?
Consumers would come up with something. In fact, the first successful shop that we had was like called .com Tod. Yeah, so the death of the .coms, which was a forum, like sort of gossiping about the burst bubble and how there are layoffs and stuff like that. So this was our best seller at the beginning.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. And what was your first, idea that you decided to turn into a startup?
So actually, that was quite the same time because we were actually studying together, kind of.
Did you know each other?
Yeah, we know each other. Lukasz was an investor in my second company, so Trivago.
Smart move.
Early
Lucky
investor.
move.
Lucky move.
My first company was I started also during, not after that, during that big first bubble, 1999-2000. And that was, we were basically the first guys thinking about, that there could be products you could write reviews about. So today, okay, this is very common stuff, but we thought about, okay, that might be a smart move to have like products and then write reviews about products. And we were basically the first in Europe who did that. And yeah, lots of learnings because the bubble bursted. We raised lots of money. We lost lots of money.
But not lost lots of his money, though, no.
No, at that time it was not his money.
Oh, I invested in a successful company, which is really
smart.
cool.
All right, smart. Try to do that, kids.
Yeah. So, I went out of the business at the maybe wrong time, like from a financial perspective, because later on it was sold for a heck of money to Microsoft. But then I started Trivago, so that was a good move, I think.
Yeah, you heard of that little company, right, Trivago? Yeah. Tell me, how did that idea happen? Did you have like bad experiences in hotels, or you couldn't make a reservation and it was frustrating, or was this an idea that was not so personal?
Yeah, actually, the story of Trivago is very much like, I don't think it's such a brilliant idea, actually. Yeah. So I think it was.
Is that how you pitched it?
Yeah, that's how we pitched it. That's why we didn't get any money. Because we started with something totally different. Yeah. So and then we we moved it over time. We realized that our idea was not really brilliant. Thanks a lot. Our idea was not really so brilliant, and so we moved it around. And we ended up with.
Your salad will be right here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I know you ordered the potatoes. They're on their way. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, and so basically, we turned it around. So because it was not that successful. And moved it towards what is today Trivago. But that was a long evolution. It was not something that we came up in the middle of the night and we thought, oh wow, this is brilliant.
And when you have something that's incredibly successful, sometimes you don't quite know why it turned out so successfully, because you've had other things that you thought were equally interesting ideas. For the two of you, what have been the challenges? What were the moments that required for you as you began to build, either prior to Trivago or prior to your successful companies? Moments where it required courage. It required you to stay with it, even though it may not have seemed like it was going to work out.
I think the hardest moment was actually when Lukasz invested. But it's really true. Actually, I think the biggest threat for a young startup is when it gets money. Because we have been basically growing very very continuously, and we had just the Trivago's build up was just about 700K in capital, and so and when we got this money, basically that was basically the biggest threat, because we started to redo our processes and we started to spend money again. We started to hire people too fast, too many. And I think that was really a threat. And so we did lots of different things. Yeah. So we started to do lots of different things at the same time, because just we had the resources to do so. And actually, when we didn't have resources anymore, so when money was running out, that was a time when we became smart again. So that was a time when we became focused again. We focused on the business, and we never took any money afterwards. So we basically ran the business totally out of cash flow since then.
And for you?
For me, the most challenging was to be super successful, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Germany, and then the moment when I realized, fuck, I'm not a Hollywood star. And I think I'm over it now.
You've just realized this. Is that?
Thanks.
I need 4 of these actually myself. It was a long night. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Do you want the serious answer?
Yeah, I
the
do
serious
want a
answer
serious
is really how to be very successful.
Excuse
and then
me. This is my refrigerator.
May I touch it?
You can touch it.
So, Mr. Spacey.
But you're not really feeling comfortable touching it,
There could
right?
be an idea in here. I don't know. We'll have to find out later on.
So so now, the serious answer is when you're very successful and then all of a sudden you realize you might not be up to a task, or you have failures, you have setbacks, and how to deal with that, I would say, yeah.
Okay, the short answer. Okay.
There's a story from my childhood.
There's what?
No.
You want people to go to your chat room? Did you guys ever want to give up? Was there ever a moment where you're like, this isn't going to work? Okay, good night. Thank you so much for coming.
There've been moments when I gave up, actually, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had it before, or in between. See, it started my first company. I went out of it. And basically, because it was this big internet bubble, we had lots of investors in, lots of people, lots of VCs in. Basically, I didn't take any money out of it, so nothing. And so basically, then afterwards, I tried to start my first company afterwards. Didn't work out. So I thought, hey, maybe it's a good idea to become a PhD. So I did my PhD.
A PhD in what?
Economics. I started it. I didn't finish it.
You didn't finish it?
No, of course not. It didn't work out.
Your parents are very disappointed in you.
Of course. They had high hopes. Actually, in the moment where I started it, they thought, finally, he's going in the right direction, right? Yes. Yeah. Because I always had a friend, and he was always going in that direction, and he was always a better son. So I was really... Right. So I tried it, but it didn't work out. So then actually, I wanted to do the only thing I could make my parents happy with, I took over their restaurant. So they ran a restaurant. And I took over their restaurant, and or I ran it together with my dad, which then is not a good thing to do. I'm not sure. Did you ever run a business with your dad?
No.
No. Don't do that.
So you ever run a business with your dad?
Sort of.
Not sure if you made this.
When we need one-word answers, we'll come to you. All right.
Yeah, so it didn't work out. And basically, really before I started with Trivago, I was basically broke, and I thought nobody would hire me. So that's why I started Trivago.
Got it. And now that you've both reached a certain level of success and achievement, what kind of responsibility does that bring along with it?
Wow. So, first of all, I think it's important that it's not like this kind of, okay, you now have built up kind of like some personal wealth, and then you do something with it. So I think for me it's important that whatever you do in your career, that you follow specific values and you try to follow them all the way through. And it's not about creating money here and doing some charity over there. Yeah, so I think for me it's like living your values consistently and building your company in a way that you really feel comfortable in how people work for you, how they interact with each other, and how you treat your customers and so on. So I think that's super important for me. Yeah, and that this is like you do that consistently. So I don't think so much about because I never like to think about the future so much. Yeah, actually I'm not this big visionary, so I just like to think about the present, not about the future. And so I don't know what I will do tomorrow, to maybe take over more responsibility because I'm super operational in my business. But I think all of us actually can run their businesses in a way that you feel comfortable with.
Responsibility?
Yes, you have a responsibility to answer this fucking question a little longer than your others.
It's really a very complex question that I could answer on many.
Oh, go ahead, be complex.
on many. On many levels.
Yes,
yeah?
Go. They're waiting.
No, really. So it's a lot of growth for a person in a lifetime to be that successful. So you go through various different stages. So you're responsible to yourself how to handle that. Then indeed there's some responsibility for, it might sound funny, but also for society and how being a role model for entrepreneurs, but also caring about let's say our planet or our future or all these things. And then on a personal level also a responsibility to add to the successes because of you don't want to retire or anything. In my case, the companies that I started, Delivery Hero, which is my biggest success, I've been sort of like a producer, I've been in your Q&A before, so I've put the things together, I hired CEOs, I did this and that, and I've been very actively involved in building the thing, but then it runs on its own, yeah. And Niklas is the CEO, he has the vision for Delivery Hero, which is, by the way, very early days. And for me, the responsibility is to the next projects are as energetic and as impactful and match sort of the previous ones.
How about that? Come on. And when you guys, obviously at a conference like this, you end up meeting a lot of people. I'm sure the ideas get thrown at you, and your email box gets full with pitches. What do you say to younger people who are having interesting ideas about what it takes to begin to develop them, what it takes to know how to pitch something, even as in your case it's a really terrible idea? What do you say to young people who come up and ask for advice?
You know, first of all, realize that most of ideas are terrible, right? And I think that is one thing. Like, the problem is a little bit like when you become an entrepreneur, it's a lot about people who are quite self-centric, because if you would have like self-confidence, you would probably not start a business. For me, it's two things. Either you're very self-confident or you're very naive. Yeah? The problem is the self-confident people have later on the problem, because a very self-confident guy can run a company when it's small, but when it's becoming larger and larger, I think your self-confidence becomes a very problematic thing. And I think in that moment you have to realize that then it's more about not about yourself but about the company, and you have to be able to take yourself back. And I think that is something that a lot of entrepreneurs, it's hard for them to do. Some don't have to do it because they are geniuses. I mean, like Steve Jobs, you can, if you're a genius, of course you can do that. But most of us, including me, we're not geniuses. So we cannot control a company.
How many geniuses do we have here today? How many geniuses in the room?
So some.
Yeah.
So you can. But yeah. So I couldn't run a company with 1,500 people this way. Yeah? So and then you have to rely on others, and you have to see that you take your ego back. So, and I think that is always what I tell young entrepreneurs, be able to take it back, and relax.
What kind of advice do you give to people starting out?
And so my experience is that the world is very, very diverse when it comes to entrepreneurship, and there are like many different situations, so there's no one size fits all answer. Sometimes young people will come to me, they're very enthusiastic, they seem smart, and they have a terrible idea. Then I will not be nice. I will say, like, this idea is shit, because I think I'm doing them a favor, and many people are too nice. And
well, that's very encouraging, obviously.
Yeah, but like then goes back to your other question, like when to know when to give up an idea, yeah? Because of like, on the one hand, a successful entrepreneur, and this is like, for me, it was certainly a success factor. Never give up. I remember as kids we had like this: try, fail, try, succeed. Yeah, this is what we said with friends. Because if you just stick to it, but it doesn't mean necessarily that you stick to your idea. You stick to the idea of becoming an entrepreneur, but you don't stick necessarily to the idea that you started out with, because of it you might not have been ready yet. But how do you know that you're ready? You know only in retrospect. So. Yeah, so this would be one answer for a certain type of entrepreneurs. Yeah, then there's other type of entrepreneurs, like, I don't know, like the consultant investment banker who comes with experience, and then it's a totally different set of criteria. Usually they know what they do, but
I'm looking for a period, that's all. I'm looking for a period.
Usually they know what they...
Are you sure?
Yes. Okay.
Voilà. The French say voilà.
Voilà.
C'est tout.
I often believe that this is an example also of what we experience in trying to encourage people in the entertainment business. Those that want to be writers, actors, or directors, or producers. Is quite often you have to know. Not just what to tell someone who needs to hear a piece of advice, but you have to know when to tell them. And that's true with great directors. They not only know what kind of note to give an actor, they know when to give it. And sometimes people have to flounder around for a while and make mistakes so that they can learn from those mistakes.
I have a question to you, because I've heard that you invest in startups, and I've been wondering in your Q&A session, what motivates you to invest in startup? I sort of assume it's not that you don't do it like for financial reasons, or not mainly at least. Of course, this is a side condition, but like what motivates you? What drives you to invest in startups?
Lots of different things. You know, I love good ideas. I think particularly when someone comes up with something that's service oriented. I also am very interested in new technologies in terms of what's happening in the entertainment business and how we're capturing both entertainment and how we're going to display it in the years to come. So I've been very involved in all sorts of companies in that way. And sometimes it's the individual. You know, you may not even think maybe the idea itself, you're sort of taking a risk on it, but you think that the individual is worth investing in. And so sometimes it's about people. You both went to university, right? Did you go at the same university? Mm-hmm. Yes, at the same time?
Nearly.
Nearly. And what would you say you learned at school that maybe you couldn't learn outside in the real world?
For me, that's not so much actually. I know really. I mean, let's face it. Yeah. I mean, like studying business is not the smartest thing you can do, and. No, really. I mean, today, if I'm looking back today, I would never do it again.
So far I've learned, you have a terrible idea. You don't think about the future. It's stupid studying business.
It's good to really. I mean, no, it's true. I mean, if I would not do that, if I would not look back and say, hey, actually, if I would have the chance again, I would do it differently. I think then you're not learning, and I think that's like I would not recommend my children to study business really. I mean, there's just more fun thing to do. There's more intellectually challenging things to do. At the end, it's not about learning Porter's 5 forces model or so, right? So I think I took something away. You know, it's not that I say I didn't take something away. So what I took away is, first of all, I learned, because my parents, I grew up in a restaurant. I didn't know about anything like investment banking or consulting, all these things. So what I learned was really, it opened up the world for me, basically, saying, okay, basically, you're the only one to blame. So if you have you can have a great idea, you can have all the financial resources of the world if you can sell this idea. You can create a great company, and the only one who's responsible for that is you. Because it's all you. It's not the large companies who can only do that. If you want to build a better car, you can build a better car. And I think that is something that I really took away from that, because it opened up the world for me in this regard. I got to know great people. I founded my business with this. Trivago is also, like, all 3 co-founders of Trivago went to the same university. So I found great people. But let's face it, there's nothing that very few things that you really learn there where you can say, okay, that is really something that helped me in my career. So at least
I know universities across the world are thanking you right now.
But the better car is the flying car, by the way. I hope we can talk about that a little bit too.
Sure, absolutely. And so do you prefer a solo founding or multiple founders?
No, of course, multiple founders. Because I believe in diversity, and I think that you solve a problem always better if you have multiple perspectives on a problem, and the problem is always how do you get unbiased perspective if you are the star, right? And you start hiring people. I think you will. It's really hard to create a culture. I mean, we always try that, but it's really hard to create a culture where everybody's on eye level. So I think if you have a founding team, for me, that's a stronger thing, and at least it's a higher probability for success. And if at the end it's not all about you, then maximizing your personal wealth, I think then it's always better to start with several founders.
University. So when I chose what to study at university, and I think this might be interesting for some of you guys, I did it with the goal to become an entrepreneur. So for whatever reason, I wanted to become an entrepreneur, like an inventor, someone who drives the world forward and adds to our knowledge and all of that. So I decided to do business and technology, double major, because of the idea was like the business is like the craftsmanship, and the technology gives you like the innovation, and this is where you come up with something that's new to the world. And this is how I started to study. And then I realized that I'm not really good at technology myself, that I'm better at business and organizing. So the school that I've been at was not good. So I ended up going to 4 different schools, and I learned something in each of them. So the first one was the top in tech. I built my tech network, learned about tech. The second one was Mannheim. Those in Germany know it for business. It was pretty demanding compared to business in Paderborn. And Paderborn was great at tech, but business in Paderborn, sorry, I have to say, it was really a joke. It was really, Then I went to HHL, the school that we've been together sort of like shortly after. It was a private school, so completely different because of their business was like you sit with 30 people in the classroom and you have case studies. This is what you think of when you think of a business education. 30 people in a classroom, all of them highly motivated and doing case studies and group project work and all of that. Was quite useful. Mannheim, on the contrary, business there, which I did for a year, was like almost as many people as here in the audience, a professor reading academic texts. Yeah? And this is 80% of German business education would be of that type. And then I had the opportunity to go to the US. In fact, just before there have been elections, like today back then, Gerhard Schröder was about to be not elected, but then there was a flood in Eastern Germany and he got elected. Put some question marks in my head about like democracy and media and how all of that works. But anyway, I went to study in the US for half a year in Atlanta, Georgia Tech. And this was also like super exciting because of like those real techie guys. We did like IC fabrication, so we did our own wafers and got this perspective also of the US system. So 4 schools within 5 years, and each of them was so different that I've been able to take something out of each of them. And in fact, my t-shirt business, I started at the second school with the experience of the failed first projects from the first school. And then I did it on the side, like for 2 years before I graduated. And when I graduated, there wasn't even the question if I'm going to apply for a job because I already employed 10 people or something like that.
You know, for a guy who was giving us one-word answers before, you really fucking don't stop, do you? You just go on and on and on.
Yeah, but like, it's important to feel you, and I really get that you had a tough night, so I wanted to give you a bit of a break.
That's maybe my last question, because I think we're probably beyond our time. How many drinks did you have last night? Where were you? What place were you at?
So I've been in London, first at a white party, and then at a fetish party.
You went to a white party?
Yeah, a white party where people wear white.
Oh, I see.
And then a fetish party where people wear you don't know. And then I've been to a fetish party. You want to hear about the fetish party or not?
You went to a fetish party?
Yes.
Were you wearing white?
No, I took it off. But I had my lederhose on already, so it fits better today.
Yeah, don't do that. Sit down. And how many drinks did you have last night? That's pretty much the answer, isn't it?
Yeah. No. Definitely too many. But if you can still remember how many drinks you had, it was not a good night, right?
Ah, philosopher.
Can you remember how many drinks you had last night?
Yes, I had 72 drinks last night. Yes. Yes, I remember it perfectly. Have we come to the conclusion? Yes. Thank you so much for being a part of today. It's been a very interesting conversation. Anybody have a question you want to throw out from there? Anybody? Don't be shy. Yes. What?
Secret?
What? I'm sorry. Your fetish is what? I'm sorry. Ah. Oh, my secret? Well, if I told you, then it wouldn't be a secret anymore, would it? I get up every day and say, "What's next? What's next?" And that's the way to get up.
Woo-hoo. Amazing stuff.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks.
Kevin. Wolf, thank you so much, man. Lukasz, thank you. Kevin, please.